Welcome to Everything Football and welcome to the Matchday 6 Transfer Tips Show. So this time around, we are going to do it differently. Instead of giving you the actual players, take this one out and bring this one in, you're supposed to do this and do that. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be talking about a couple of players along the way, but this is very important in terms of fixtures because there are other teams that have already gone through, the other teams that still have something to play for, other teams are already out. Out of the 32 teams remaining right now, out of the 32 Champions League teams, 22 of them have something to play for. 10 of them don't have anything to play for. So you have to keep an eye on that, especially if you're playing your limitless chip, your wildcard. If you just have the two transfers, if you're taking a -4, you definitely have to concentrate or focus on the teams that have something to play for. And then you can throw in a couple of differentials for the teams that don't have anything to play for, but we will be talking about that. So scrolling down the bottom, I'll be talking about different topics, and then we'll also take a look at the tables, how they're looking like. But yeah, let's get started. Hopefully that is clear. Scrolling down the bottom right now is the teams that have already qualified top, the teams that have already qualified second in their group, and the teams that have already qualified third. So let's start with the teams that have already qualified top. So Bayern Munich are already through top of the table, so they cannot drop down to second, so they can afford to rest everyone if they want. But in their situation, it's a bit different because they can still finish with 18 points out of 18 if they prefer. So they can still play a few of the players in the first half and take them out in the second half. And also their fixture is not that easy. They have Inter Milan at home, but doesn't change the fact that they don't have anything to play for in that game. They've already finished top. The second team that have already finished top is Manchester City. They cannot drop down to second as well. So Dortmund cannot catch up with them. They can also rotate as much as they want. Obviously, they want to be top of the table by the time the World Cup arrives in the Premier League. So they can afford to rest everyone if they prefer. And Pep Guardiola, try predicting him. He can literally do anything. He can still start with Cancelo in that team and sub him out at halftime. He can still go with Haaland, especially if he doesn't play this weekend with the injury niggle that he has. But in terms of that, there's a couple of players you can target, but the main players are definitely hard to guess whether they're going to start. And number 3 is Chelsea. Chelsea have already gone through as well, top of the table. So I'd be looking to get in maybe one of the players that will be rotated. So it's that will be brought in. It's very hard to know which Chelsea players or defenders especially are going to start in a game like this. It could be Chilwell or Cucurella. One of them can play first half and the other second half. Obviously, in fantasy football, you don't want that. You don't want a player who's going to play first half and then get subbed off at halftime or come on at halftime. You don't really want that. You want a player to play at least 70 minutes for you, especially if they're a defender. And then in terms of teams that have already finished second, they can't get to first and they can't also drop down to third. We have Inter Milan and Dortmund. Inter Milan in Bayern Munich's group and Dortmund in Man City's group. So the players like Lautaro Martinez, Bellingham, they might start, but they might be subbed off very early on. They literally do not have anything to play for. So if they're avoiding injuries, and players like Bellingham and Lautaro Martinez who are going to the World Cup, the manager might just decide, you know what, let me just leave them on the bench. A player like Lukaku, I'd definitely be looking at in that game. I think he'll be given a chance to scored some goals in that match. And then the teams that already finished third, the teams that already dropped down to the Europa League, they can't finish fourth and they can't finish first or second. Barcelona and Sevilla, the Spanish teams. So Lewandowski, will he start? Will he even play a minute at all, or will they just bring on the second team to get a few minutes, the likes of Ferran Torres and players like that? And then Sevilla as well, they finished third. They're not going to finish first or second, and they're not going to drop down to fourth. And they also have a tough fixture away to Man City anyway. So in terms of players we can target from these teams, Bayern Munich, Choupo-Moting, if you're feeling very brave, you can go for him. Man City, players like Sergio Gomez at left back is back from his red card. He might play in this one. Mahrez can still be a good option. I think he still will play. I think Gundogan will play in this one as well. Cole Palmer, the youngster, I think he will play. In terms of Chelsea, Ziyech is a good option as well. As a differential defender-wise, it's very hard. I'm not even sure Kepa starts. Will they bring in Mendy to play this one? So I'm not even sure about the goalkeeper in this one. Inter Milan and Dortmund. Lukaku from Inter Milan. Dortmund really, really hard. Someone asked me about Dortmund because they have a very good fixture against Copenhagen, but it's really tough to predict who's going to start and who's going to come on. Listen, even if Bellingham and players like Brandt get like 45 minutes, that 45 minutes is enough for them to get a goal or an assist. So if you're feeling brave, if you have those players and you have other things to do for your team, if you have like 3 other transfers to make in your team and Bellingham is still in your team or any other Dortmund player, there's no problem with leaving them there, even if they play 45 minutes, because you have other players that might not play at all. Players like Valverde in match day 3, if you had them in your team, in match day 6, sorry, if you had them in your team. And then in terms of Barcelona and Sevilla, um, maybe Rafinha on the right side for Barcelona. Sevilla, honestly, I'd be avoiding because they're traveling away to Man City. So those are the 7 teams that don't have anything to play for in terms of already qualified, already finished second, already finished third. So hopefully that is clear. The other 3 teams that don't have anything to play for, they're already out. These 3 teams scrolling down: Celtic, Copenhagen, and Victoria Pilsen. So these teams have finished fourth. They're out totally. They literally have no motivation for match day 4. For match day 6. Why do I keep going back to match day 4? Because that is when I played my my limitless chip. That is why I keep on going there. So Celtic, Copenhagen, and Victoria Pilsen. Celtic are playing away to Real Madrid, so it's not a bad idea to target Real Madrid players in this one. Copenhagen are playing against Dortmund, as I just said. Good fixture for Dortmund. And then Victoria Pilsen are playing against Barcelona. So if you get it right, if you get the players who are going to play in the second team, like if you can get a Dortmund player, Barcelona player, and the Real Madrid player who and they end up starting, you could be in for a differential, because I think in those games it could be 3 or 4 goals because these teams have no motivation. So those are the teams that don't have anything to play for. Hopefully that is clear. Next up, we'll talk about the teams that have already qualified, but they still have to fight for top spots. So they're already through, but they're not sure about finishing first or second. That still has to be decided. So scrolling down the bottom, we have Napoli, Liverpool, Club Brugge, FC Porto, PSG, Benfica, and Real Madrid. So Napoli and Liverpool's group, really, really interesting. We'll talk about the groups later. I'll bring it on screen. I'll talk about the groups. But in terms of Napoli, Liverpool, Liverpool need to win like 3-0 or 4-0 to go through in that group as group winners. So that I expect that to be such an open game against avoiding defenders from this game. You can go for them, Trent Di Lorenzo, because of the recovery points. It's different from FPL, but attackers in this game sound very, very good. Club Brugge, FC Porto, Club Brugge, FC Porto, both of them already qualified, but they're still fighting for top spots. Club Brugge are going away from home, so I think it's going to be tough. I would actually fancy FC Porto to win, to finish top of that group, but FC Porto attackers or even their goalkeeper are really good in that one. Club Brugge, I mean, if they draw an FC Porto win, Club Brugge will still finish second. So can you expect them to go for it? Maybe one of their defenders, maybe. PSG, Benfica, PSG going away to Juventus, Benfica playing away at home, away from home against Maccabi Haifa as well. So basically, if both teams draw, PSG go through. If Benfica win, PSG also have to win against Juventus. So you can target any of the attackers from that those games, and also Benfica defenders. I don't think there's a problem with that. And then Real Madrid, as I just said, they're playing Celtic, who have already gone out. So Real Madrid here, Vinicius, Rodrigo, looking a really, really good option. So those are the teams that are still battling for top spot but have already qualified. Next up are the teams that have not yet qualified but can still qualify. So Tottenham, Sporting, Frankfurt, Marseille, that entire group looking very good. Any team can still qualify. Literally any team can finish second or third or fourth. Like, it's crazy in that group. And then AC Milan, Salzburg, the Chelsea group. AC Milan, Salzburg fighting for second in that group. So AC Milan are playing against Salzburg at home, so all they need is a draw. So maybe an AC Milan defender would be not a bad idea. Salzburg, maybe an attacker, because Salzburg have to win that game, so they will be going for it, which will create more openings for players like Leao from AC Milan. So not bad. And then Leipzig and Shakhtar, they're playing against each other. Leipzig against Shakhtar at Leipzig play at Shakhtar's place. They lost at Leipzig 4-1. Like, Shakhtar beat Leipzig 4-1 when they went to Germany, and this time Leipzig are going to face Shakhtar away from home. And I think this is going to be kind of an open game. Leipzig are currently second in that group, but they can finish first on top of Real Madrid, but they can also finish third. So that is crazy for Leipzig. So I think they will be going for it. So I think players like Nkunku and Mudryk are not bad choices from that from that category. So yeah. Next up, the teams that have already they're already out. They can't finish first or second, but they can still get a third spot. So the Europa League spot, they can still finish third. So these are the teams. We have Ajax, Rangers, Atletico Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen, Dinamo Zagreb, Juventus, and Maccabi Haifa. So Juventus are playing against PSG. They only really need a draw, especially if Maccabi Haifa don't beat Benfica. But Maccabi Haifa being fourth, they have to hope that PSG beat Juventus and for them to at least get a point. Dinamo Zagreb, they still have a chance of getting a Europa League spot in that group in place of Salzburg. So they're hoping AC Milan beat Salzburg, and they have a tough fixture with Chelsea, so they will need to win. So that also opens up spaces for Chelsea players to get counterattacks in that game and score. So I think it's going to be an open game as well. And then Atletico Madrid, Leverkusen. Leverkusen defender maybe they're playing at home against Club Brugge. Atletico Madrid as well, they're fighting for third. And then Rangers and Ajax. Rangers need to beat Ajax by a big margin, so I'm expecting that to be an open game as well. So hopefully that is clear. Let's now look at the groups to get a better explanation. So as you can see, Napoli, Liverpool, I expect both of those games at the end to have a lot of goals. So Napoli, Liverpool, Ajax, Rangers. Liverpool need to beat Napoli by like 3-4 goals to qualify top. And then Rangers and Ajax. Rangers have to beat Ajax by like 4-0, 5-0. I think 5-0 actually to finish third in that group. So that is pretty crazy. So I'm expecting a lot of goals there. In terms of Group B, Club Brugge FC Porto there, as you can see, 10-9, 5-4. Club Brugge FC Porto fighting for top spot, and then Atletico Madrid and Leverkusen fighting for second. So Atletico Madrid are playing against, they're going away to FC Porto. So a draw could be enough if Club Brugge beats Leverkusen, but I doubt Club Brugge beats Leverkusen. I think Leverkusen will get at least a point or even a win. I think Leverkusen being at home, they can get a win or something. And considering Leverkusen beat Atletico Madrid and they drew the other day, Leverkusen have the better head-to-head record. So if Atletico Madrid lose away to FC Porto and Leverkusen draw with Club Brugge, that is enough for them to finish third and Atletico Madrid finish bottom of that table. So I'm thinking Atletico Madrid will have to go for the win against FC Porto in that match, and FC Porto have to go for the win to at least finish first in that group as well. I mean, in the first game, Club Brugge beat Porto 4-0, and then they beat them 4-0 as well away from home. That is crazy. Club Brugge went to FC Porto, won 4-0, and then FC Porto went to Club Brugge and won 4-0. So they have an equal head-to-head record, so their goal difference will come into consideration. As you can see, FC Porto have a goal difference of 4, Club Brugge 3. So that is a very interesting group. I'll be looking at that one as well. Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, Barcelona, Pilsen. This group is already over. Barcelona, the ones who are playing Pilsen, so any second team players that are playing in that one, they might give players like Lewandowski a run out for them to get to add onto their records and stuff. And then Bayern, Inter Milan, nothing really riding on that much. This is a tough group, 8, 7, 7, 6. As you can see, Sporting can still finish top, but they can also still finish bottom. Marseille, they can come all the way to top spot if Sporting and Frankfurt draw and they beat Tottenham. Marseille could literally go all the way to first from bottom of the table, and Tottenham could drop all the way down to third. Chelsea already through against Dinamo Zagreb, but all these three teams have something to play for. And then Real Madrid, Leipzig, Shakhtar, Celtic. I would expect Real Madrid to beat Celtic. So if you have Real Madrid players, or if you don't have, I'd be looking at the likes of Rodrigo, Leipzig, Shakhtar as well, attackers. Man City, Dortmund, Sevilla, Copenhagen as well. This group is done, and then the last group teams are still fighting for top spot and also third. So in terms of transfer tips, in terms of players, as I said, teams differentials, like the big teams like Chelsea, Bayern Munich, the ones that have already finished top, differentials are not bad at all. Tottenham only need a draw in this group, so a defender from Tottenham isn't bad. Marseille have to win, so they'll be looking their attackers, Alexis Sanchez and players like that. Chelsea as well, second team players, ZH, those kind of guys, not a problem at all. Real Madrid, Leipzig, Shakhtar, Celtic. So in terms of players I'll be looking to take out, if I had like Jota from Celtic, if you had any Celtic players, I think it's time to get rid. Man City, I think Haaland won't play in this one. I think it's time to get rid of him as well, but I'd be waiting until Monday to see what happens during the weekend. A team like Sevilla and Sevilla are playing Man City away. So if you have any injuries or players that if the rest of your team looks good and you only have like a severe player transfer out, I'd do it. And then PSG, Benfica, Juventus, Maccabi Haifa, I don't think there's anyone really to transfer out. I think you can have any. If you have anyone from that group, you can keep. So it really depends. At the end of the day, it depends on which players you have in your team, and which players have something to play for and which teams don't have anything to play for. But hopefully that is clear. I don't know how your team is looking. If you have 13 players who have something to play for, and two players that don't have two players from teams that don't have something to play for, you can try and take them out, but it depends on injuries and all that. So hopefully that a video gave you an idea of how Matchday 6 is looking. If you enjoyed it or if it was helpful, hit the like button. Really helps the channel out. Let's get to 1,500 subscribers very soon. In case you want to check out the wildcard video, click on the video on the left, and if you want to take a look at the limitless video, click on the video on the right, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.